still in a position battle for OU softball, and who's done enough to lock down a starting spot in the lineup as we are under 20 days away from first pitch to the Sooners. Is anyone else excited other than me? We will soon begin OU's pursuit of a fifth consecutive national championship. Let's get to my final list of projected starters, as well as where I think they'll be in the batting order, plus the position battles, the positions where you can expect to see multiple players in the early stages of the season. And as an added bonus, how about a projection of the pitching staff entering the season? So be sure to stick around until the end of the video. First off, I'm going to start with Ilana Agbayani because I think that she's going to be the starting second baseman as well as the leadoff hitter for this team. She played shortstop at BYU last year, but we mostly saw her at second base during the fall, which I think was a pretty good hint. I think you can expect to see Agbayani second base this season, and frankly, I'd be very surprised if she doesn't stay there the entire season. I think the position move is going to work out great for her, and I truly believe that she's going to be one of the best leadoff hitters, not just in the SEC, but in all of college softball. If you don't believe me now, you will soon. She's one of the most exciting players on the roster with her speed, athleticism, and just overall passion for the game that she shows every time that she's out there. I've said it all off season long, and I cannot say it enough. Agbayani is special. She's a special softball player, and I think she's about to have her best season yet. Now, before we get to the next spot in the order, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, as well as liking the video and turning on those notifications. It certainly helps me, and it will give you the opportunity to see multiple videos a week on OU and SEC softball. Guys, the season is almost here, and I'll be putting out a ton of content as we watch the Sooners chase another national championship. Next, let's go with Abby Dayton. That's your everyday center fielder, and I think the second hitter in the order. You brought her in to take over that spot in center field and hit in the top of the order. That's exactly what she's going to do. She's not going to be Jada Coleman, and that's no slight to Abby Dayton because I've never seen another Jada Coleman before, and there may never be another Jada Coleman. But that's okay because the best level of Abby Dayton is one of the best that you're going to find in college softball this season. And that level of Abby Dayton is fast, it's aggressive, it's great defensively, it gets on base, is a fantastic hitter. This has been a no-brainer to me since she committed to OU last summer. She's the center fielder for this team, and she's going to be really, really good for the Sooners in 2025. So a lot of speed in the first two spots in the order. Now let's bring in some elite power. We still have high-level base stealing ability here, but Ella Parker will be hitting third. One of the best, just pure hitters that you're going to see this year. Led the team last year in batting average, and man, she is going to be in an incredible RBI spot this season. Agbayani and Dayton are going to get on base, both over a .510 on-base percentage last year. So when Parker steps to the plate, she can have a ton of opportunities to drive in runs, which is exactly what you want. I do think we'll see Parker from time to time at first base this season, and still interested to see if she plays more defense than she did last season. But for now, I have her hitting third and DHing this year. There's no doubt Ella Parker's going to be somewhere, a big part of this team. Massive, massive year coming up for Ella Parker. Hitting cleanup will be the other freshman that tore it up last year, Cassidy Pickering. Again, just because you were great last year does not mean you're guaranteed a spot this year. But Pickering was not only great during the fall, she was arguably the best player that OU had during the fall season. She's locked down a spot. There's no question about that. I think she'll make the move to left field this season, showcase her power at the cleanup spot. Preseason All-American by Softball America, and nobody will be surprised if she's named All-American at the end of the season. In fact, at this point, I would say that most people expect her to be an All-American at the end of the season in just her true sophomore season. What a ridiculous 1 through 4 in the order of Agbayani, Dayton, Parker, and Pickering, and we're not even close to being done. Hitting fifth and playing third base is Captain Nelly McEnroe-Moranis. She's locked down that spot at third base. I think you can expect her to be OU's everyday third baseman this year. But hitting fifth in the order is a little bit of a projection right now. There's a couple of hitters that could certainly be in this spot, and I do think Nelly could move up or even down in the order as the season progresses. But I just think she's going to give you an incredible offensive season with a ton of power at the plate. There's no question to me she's your starter at third base. She's locked that down. And Patty herself has even compared Nelly to Sid Romero, who in my opinion is the greatest third baseman in OU softball history. The comparisons are there for Nelly to be the next great. I'm excited about her as any other player on the team. And how could you not be when she's already been named a captain for this team? Catcher is another position battle I think has been locked down, so expect Isabella Emmerling behind the plate. I don't think Emmerling or any other highly regarded transfer was guaranteed a starting spot, but I think Patty Gasso knew if Emmerling showed what she did in the past at North Carolina in Norman, she'd have a fantastic chance to start. And that's exactly what she did, and here we are with Emmerling as the catcher, and in my opinion, one of the most underrated hitters on the entire team. She's shown us she's got power at the plate, and I think she's ready to unleash that in 2025. I hope you're almost at the point of laughter at this point, as I am, realizing how deadly this offense is going to be again this year. I'd put those 6 hitters I just mentioned against anyone else in college softball. Anyone. Now, as much as I think Emmerling is the catcher this year for OU, 6th in the order isn't a guarantee. She could certainly move higher. Maybe she's at 6, or maybe she's even at cleanup at some point this year. She could also be lower in the order as well, potentially. But the point is that she'll be there. That's the important thing. She'll be there. Emmerling will be in the order and be behind the plate more games than not for the Sooners in 2025. Hitting 7th and playing first base, I got Sid Sanders. A ton of power at this spot with a player I'm hoping has her best year yet in college softball. Has she locked down that first base spot? I think so. Now, she can have big droughts at the plate and not worry about a Corey Hicks or even an Ella Parker taking playing time away from her. But I do feel comfortable saying today that the likely scenario is Sid Sanders is going to be the first baseman. Again, another player that could end up hitting higher in the order, but also a player that could end up hitting even lower in the order than 7th. There was a game this fall where she was in the 9-hole. Maybe that wasn't meant to be a hint, and Patty just wanted to see some other players higher in the order. Who knows? But I think as the year goes on, Sid will likely move throughout the order depending on her play as the season goes on. So that gets us to the 2 positions I think are still up for grabs, at least with the position players, and I'll shortly get to the pitchers. I think shortstop and right field are currently to be determined for starters, and I think we're going to see more than one player start at each position in the early stages of the season, and potentially maybe even beyond that. Let's start in right field, where I currently think it's Tia Malloy and Maya Bland. Both are very good options here, and that's the good news to take away from this. Now, Maya Bland really showed some power in the fall that I didn't know that she had. That was my biggest takeaway from her. We know she has the speed. We found that out last season. But this fall, we found out she absolutely has the power to hit the ball out of the ballpark. Maya Bland is incredibly fun to watch, and I think that she's ready to do more than just be a pinch runner like she was last year. But hey, she's not the only one. Tia Malloy can also hit the ball really hard too. The upside with her is undeniable. We've been excited about her for a long time now, going all the way back to pretty much her junior year in high school. The bloodline, the talent, it is all there with Tia. Now, Malloy wasn't always available during the fall, and I certainly think Maya Bland took advantage of that. But in a position battle where both Malloy and Bland will get opportunities at the beginning of the season, expect both to start and get their opportunities, I think Malloy will get the first crack to be OU's right fielder and will hit 8th in center field. Now, the battle in right field will indeed be fun with 2 very fun players, but I think the most high-profile position battle is at shortstop. Like right field, the good news is that I think you have 2 very good options, but they're also 2 true freshmen who I think are battling it out right now at shorts. To me, those two players are Gabby Garcia and Sydney Barker. Both have extremely high ceilings, but hey, this is a position that comes with a lot of pressure. You have to be consistent on defense to be the everyday shortstop. You also have to be really good at the plate as well. So who's most likely to be that player? Again, I think both players will get opportunities during the season because I truly think the battle is currently that close. But for now, I'll say Gabby Garcia is hitting ninth and the team's shortstop to start the season. Now let's get to the pitchers. What does the battle in the circle currently look like for the Sooners? Well, I'm going to treat this projection as if the Sooners were about to play a critical 3-game SEC series. I think it's the best way to give us the best look because you're going to see a lot of different combinations, I believe, in the non-conference portion of the schedule. So if we're saying OU is playing in an SEC series and going with 3 different starters, I'd say today that Sam Landry is the Friday night starter, a.k.a. also known as the ace. There was no doubt to me who was the best pitcher in the fall for the Sooners, arguably the MVP of the entire fall. She answered the most critical question I think we had going into the fall schedule, which was, well, who's going to step up and look like the ace? Well, nobody did that to the same level as Sam Landry. She'll be the ace. I don't really question that going into the season. My big question is who's going to be the number 2? Who's going to be the number 3 in this rotation? Now, it's a projection by me because we didn't see her in the fall, but I'm going to go with Bella Smith as the number 2 pitcher to start the season. So much experience. And I think she has really, really good stuff. It's a step up in competition for Bella Smith, just like it is Sam Landry. But I just think that she's ready for it. Maybe I'm even selling Bella Smith short. Maybe she'll end up being the ace. But right now, I think she'll be the best option after Landry and be a key starter, the number 2 starter for this team. Kirsten Deal is who I would project as starter 3 for this team right now. Huge year for her. No other way to say it. At times last year was great, but we're still waiting on KD to consistently show her best stuff. She's got the talent for a breakthrough season. There's no question about that. But she also has 2 really experienced transfers at the same position as her, as well as a true freshman with incredible upside. It's not just a given that KD will be a main starter. She's going to have to earn it this year. What I am sure of is that Audrey Lowry's going to be great. What I'm unsure of is when is that going to be? It could happen as soon as this year, but let's see what we get with Audrey Lowry in the early stages of the season. Some very good moments in the fall that got us even more excited about her. Can absolutely be a huge piece in the equation at pitcher. But will that be as a weekend starter, a midweek starter, or as a reliever this year? She's going to pitch this year. I think she plays. I don't think that she is a redshirt candidate, but she's the biggest wild card right now in the circle for OU. OU may not need her to be great this season, but if she is, your questions about the pitching staff will very soon disappear. Lastly, I would expect Peyton Monticelli to be somewhat of a reliever and a closer this year. She may get a spot start here and there, but I would mostly expect her to be someone that you see late in games coming out of the bullpen. That role could work out very well for her, seeing the velocity that she has in the circle. So hoping for Peyton Monticelli's best year as well, but I think that's most likely out of the bullpen. As for Sophia Bordy, I think a redshirt season for her is looking very, very likely for 2025. But that's the way I see it. Agree or disagree, drop your thoughts in the comments. And as always, thank you for watching.